Yes, hello. I was wondering if you could play that song again.
Which one, man?
The one that goes bee-boo-boo-bop, boo-boo-beep.
No, man, you're thinking of beep, boo, boo, bop, boo, boo, bop.
Bee-boo-boo, boo-boo-bop, bee-boo-boo-bop, boo-boo-beep-bop.
Hey, fun fans, it's another episode of We Enjoy. Thanks for joining us. We are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hello, everybody.
Eric, I've had a day. Have you ever had a day?
Oh, sure.
Like
sure.
a day. Like capital A, capital D-A-Y.
Oh, yeah.
A day. I'm sure many of us have had a lot more a-days since the pandemic started, but this was a day. Mercury's in retrograde. I can partially blame it on that bullshit as far as... you know what that means? You know when Mercury's in retrograde?
I mean, I know that people say it means weird shit. I don't remember what
Well, it's like when Mercury appears in the sky and it looks like it stops and kind of moves backwards in its own orbit. It's an optical illusion, but it is supposed to coincide also with like lost in translation mishaps as far as like interpersonal relationships and or mishaps with technology, which is what I had today, and which is also the movie we're going to talk about today. So.
Yeah.
I had my own version of RoboCop going on in my own home today because I won't go into all of it because I just bored Eric with it for a little while, but I had a MacBook Pro snafu today. Be careful, guys, when you are updating your OS with Big Sur. It totally fucked me, and I wound up in a panic because I didn't want to have to send away my MacBook and wait for it to come back. I just erased my hard drive and started anew like it was a new computer. And so I've been reinstalling things all day, but I couldn't reinstall GarageBand because the new version only works on Big Sur, and guess what I can't have? Big Sur. So, again, this is all the plot of RoboCop later.
Look, during the pandemic, I've dealt with my mother, Carol Goldman.
Master of Tech?
What would you say?
Master of Tech, Carol Goldman?
Master of Tech.
You know what she always says? Hack the planet.
She's a hacker. Yeah. Even I didn't even know Big Sur was a thing until I got a panic text from her about it. She was having a Big Sur with no context. I'm like, what is she even talking about, Big Sur? Like, that's a place in California. I don't know what she means. Yeah, there's been some days. Trish has rarely seen me get so heated, Matt. As when my
you were hot. You were hot about the Big Sur.
Me at 11 at night, freaking out about a computer thing.
Eric, Big Sur. You're either gonna get a phone call about Big Sur or about hummus in her fridge. So you choose what you're gonna get heated over.
Sure.
Okay, we are going to talk about RoboCop. That is the main event this week. We're doing the franchise, so then next week will be RoboCop 2, and so on and so forth until we wind up, talking about the live-action TV shows and animated series. Maybe we can bundle that all up into one episode, or just split it up over 2 weeks like we planned. We'll see how it works out, depending on the quality of these shows.
Right.
And then... Eric, have I told you I had a day? Because I've had a day, I am going to be thinking very quickly about what my good thing to enjoy is this week because I don't have anything picked out. So
okay.
I may even pass. I may even do a pass and just give it to Eric this week.
And be like, there's nothing to enjoy.
There's nothing to enjoy. How could somebody enjoy existence in this world? That's
even
the question I put
30 minutes
forth.
of watching a TV comedy. No.
Yeah, 22 minutes is too much smiling for me. All right. I got a few emails to get through here, a few good emails, and then we'll get into some news. A lot of news broke this week, specifically last night.
Yes.
But we'll get into that. But first, let's read some emails here. You can email us at weenjoypodcast@gmail.com. You can also find Eric and myself on Twitter at @TheMattFowler, the Eric Goldman. The podcast is at We Enjoy Podcast. And there's a Patreon as well, patreon.com/WeEnjoy. And if you contribute $2 a month, you can get a commercial-free version of this podcast, as well as the spare We Enjoy Wrestling podcast we shall be doing going forward.
Technically, isn't it a / Matt?
It's not a backslash. Is it a forward slash?
I think it's. Or am I wrong?
I don't know. It's a slash.
It's a /
I don't know. I think it's some kind of slash. It's Guns N' Roses slash.
Yes.
Let's see here. Okay, so the first one comes from Lauren. Lauren was a devout channel surfing listener. Was one of the last of the finest who was super excited that we were coming back with an entertainment themed podcast. Lauren, or as she puts, aka LED31180 on Twitter. She is either a bot, Eric, or she is an executive droid built by OCP.
Lauren, you're always very nice to us, but why don't you personalize your Twitter handle more?
It does.
It could be deeply personal. That's the thing. We don't know her.
Oh, I know.
She could be like, oh, those numbers are very significant. So.
Well, I'm trying to think if it's even like the British version of writing dates where they switch up their days and months. No. Yeah, maybe. It's possible. 11380. Who knows? Anyway, LED. It says, hi, Matt and Eric. So glad to hear you guys talking about TV in general on We Enjoy Podcast. I was such a big fan of yours from the IGN channel surfing days. My question to you guys, since you talked about it, let's see. About ATLA. Oh, she abbreviated. Avatar: The Last Airbender on episode 3. Do you have any thoughts about the upcoming live action version on Netflix? I think Eric mentioned he's seen Korra, but The Last Airbender, but Matt hasn't. It was pretty big news last summer when the creators, Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian, I'm going to mess up this last name, Konietzko, exited the show due to creative differences. I'll be honest, since Eric and Roth praised Korra on channel surfing, I was greatly anticipating that more than Avatar. However, when Avatar came on Netflix first, I was surprised how good it is. I binged it twice. Personally, I think it's perfect the way it is in animation and wouldn't want a live-action series, especially since the movie left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. Do you guys think a live-action version is necessary? Anyways, just wanting your thoughts. I mean, I'm going to default to you, Eric, because you've watched both of those series.
Yes.
First of all, larger question, is anything ever necessering?
No, nothing is necessary. WandaVision isn't necessary. It just rules.
Yeah.
All our
things get made and
not necessary.
Well, the thing is like things get made and then in hindsight we label them as necessary or not depending how good they are.
Because how much we love them.
My cop-out answer, Lauren, is that if it's excellent, it was very necessary, and if it sucks, it wasn't necessary. So
yeah. I mean, I don't think, I think I'm like a lot of people, which is to say, I was not, the fact that the creators were involved with this show, and we're very much saying, like, hey, we know that was a bad movie that we had nothing to do with, but now we're involved in this TV show, and it was going to be a TV show, because I think we even mentioned on a recent episode how, like, the movie had a million problems, but one of them at the core was trying to adapt the entire first season into one movie, and it's like, okay, yeah, the TV show, at least it can do it right. And the creators are involved. Great. And so it's very hard to get back from them leaving because they had creative differences with Netflix. You know, it's like that instantly like kills all the goodwill. So now they have this extra hill to climb. You're adapting something people love. It's been done badly already in live action, so people are ready to pounce. And now the protective shield of the creators being involved went bad in the worst way, with them saying, yeah, we walked.
Yeah, by the way, what kind of deal goes so sour that Netflix and creators have a huge difference? Doesn't Netflix let creators do whatever the hell they want?
That's what it sounds like.
Isn't that like, for years and years, actually been a problem? Is that people creative forces that kind of need that little lasso, that little reining in, don't get it?
Or even told, like, hey, this episode should be 14 minutes shorter, yeah.
Yeah, like, the huge, the first example of this was Mitch Hurwitz and the continuation of Arrested Development.
Yes. Being told, oh, yeah, just do whatever you want with it, and then being like, maybe that should have been some more notes. Sometimes.
Yeah, maybe it should have been a little tighter. Maybe it should have been 22 minutes is the reason why the Fox seasons of that show are significantly better than the Netflix ones.
Yeah, it is interesting, right? It's like, it seems like, because the one thing these days, of course, you just know with Netflix is they're probably going to cancel you after 3 seasons, if you're lucky. So you better not have a long-term plan beyond 3 seasons. But beyond that, it seems like you can do whatever the hell you want. So it is curious that they had such a blow up. And maybe it was budgetary, right? Maybe it was like, oh, well, what you want to do is too much for what we can give you money-wise. I don't know, But we
won't know until they talk about it.
Yeah, they did those. They put out releases simultaneous. Hey, we've left the project releases, but I still don't think they've done like long, in-depth interviews yet where people can.
But did they say like, hey, it wasn't a big deal, we just didn't like it. We still support. Everyone's still involved with the project, and we love them.
No,
were they diplomatic about it, or were they like they were Nazis?
More like we're disappointed. Like we didn't see eye to eye. It wasn't like fuck you guys, but it was also clearly like, hey, we weren't happy. It
wasn't like a fuck you, you're cool, fuck you. Like
no, it was just a this didn't work out. They didn't want us. We know, like, I don't know.
Did they blame Mercury being in retrograde?
Yeah, they did not. So at the end of the day, Lauren, I hope it's good. I still hope it's good because it's not like, again, it's not to say no one can make a good live action Airbender without the creators. Of course, if you have talented people involved, they can make another a good version of it. But it better be good because now it has to get beyond all these obstacles with the core fan base. It was funny, Matt, because it was the worst timing because it was right after Airbender had come to Netflix and been so big for them. And you could tell it was huge for them because they suddenly embraced it on their social media, huge. And then suddenly they couldn't tweet about Airbender because they were, already, if you look at, Netflix is one of those things because they cancel everything. If they tweet any trailer, any announcement, it's all like, renew this show you canceled with all their family. Though they certainly couldn't do anything about Airbender suddenly, even though it was doing so well for them, because now it was all going to be angry fans about, whatever we don't know what happened that made the creators leave. So I hope it's good.
Well, and you know why? Because if it's good, Eric, it's necessary.
Then it was necessary.
If it fucking sucks, not so necessary.
Right. Yes.
All right. Next email comes from Russ, who I have called on a few occasions, I think, Colin, because his Twitter handle is Colin Dog. He's actually Russ from Wisconsin. He was the one.
I didn't know that.
Well, Colin Dog was the one who
I knew Colin Dog, yeah.
Yeah, suggested the Leprechaun franchise to us. So Colin Dog, a.k.a. Russ from Wisconsin, now comes to us with sort of meeting us midway in a compromise for Leprechaun, which is, I want to propose that you dudes potentially watch at least Leprechaun 3. It takes place in Vegas, has some of the most wild kills, and maybe the worst closing line in movie history. So I'm already pretty much sold on it.
It seems like if we're ever going to do Leprechaun, how can we skip the Aniston one, though, right? Like
I know. But this is what Russ says. Russ goes on to say, every movie has a different origin for Warwick Davis's character and different ways to fight him. It's crazy. Leprechaun in the Hood and Leprechaun Back to the Hood aren't even related. So unfortunately, all Leprechaun movies have left HBO Max. Basically, he's saying like, we could do a one-off with Leprechaun at least. And because there's not a, basically, they're not extremely serialized. I think they sort of get rebooted every movie.
One funny thing about how terrible the Transformers sequels were is that, they were quote unquote serialized to some extent, but they also completely dramatically kept retconning the history of the Transformers, when they came to Earth, how long they've been on Earth. There's like so many inconsistencies in the, what each of the sequels say happened and when it happened. To the point that people were like, what was the fifth one where it was like, oh, Bumblebee fought in World War II. Sure. Like, he fought the Nazis.
And he was next to Wolverine and Sabretooth.
We forgot to mention when we were talking.
Or was that World War I? Yeah. Russ adds, P.S. My hole. Just so you know. I don't know if we can totally go into My Hole. We could have done a whole We Enjoy Wrestling, probably a whole episode about My Hole. Right. Not My Hole, but My Hole. We could have talked about My Hole. That's fine too, but like not My Hole, but My Hole. So anyway, that was a great moment.
It was a big moment, and it was very eerie that you and I had such similar tweets 6 minutes apart that I had not seen your tweet when I tweeted out.
You mean it was really eerie when you copied my tweet?
When I copied your tweet.
That was super weird, yeah.
I'm just going to tweet the same thing.
Yeah. Let's see whose tweet does better. Ready, set, go. All right. Yeah, because between that and Cat Lawyer, it was quite a Tuesday night? Yeah. No, Monday night.
It was Monday night and Tuesday morning.
It was Monday night and Tuesday. Yeah, it was a 24-hour period, but different times of. Let's see. Okay, that's it.
I will say, like, if you don't know what the hell we're talking,
no context. We don't.
Nia Jax, my hole. That's all you need to Google. You'll be good.
I'm just saying. Yeah. Are we doing the meme report now?
Meme report. Yeah. This week in memes. We enjoy memes.
Okay.
That'd be great. What if we just listed like 10 memes we like this week, and it's just like Cat Zoom Lawyer, just.
Oh my goodness! Kid. Well, Cat Zoom Lawyer got milkshake ducked too. Like they went back and they're like, "Oh yeah, this guy was like accused of like harassment and like." You know, he sounds so kindly and silly in the video.
I was gonna make the joke, Matt. I was gonna say, "Oh, but next thing you know, they're gonna look into this guy's history, and it turns out he's done awful things." But
he did.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
And that's why the wizard turned him into a cat. We're supposed to believe it's a filter, but I believe it was a vengeful sorcerer, and that was a curse. And he's like, it's just a filter. Yeah. He got thinnered, but it was for cats.
Sure.
All right. So, man, let's... two big stories, both dealing with stars of The Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. Let's start with the most controversial one.
Minutes of it.
Yeah, both the most controversial one to, well, not to us, but to people who are upset about it, I guess, was that Gina Carano is... in a statement to IO9 from Lucasfilm, which is Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm anymore, and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their culture and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. She got fired.
That's their nice way of saying it.
Yeah, she got fired from their franchise and presumably from Knights of the New Republic, which is the show.
Rangers of the New Republic.
Rangers of the New Republic.
Yeah. She got fired from Mandalorian, but although they're not going to confirm it, it was highly speculated and rumored that she was going to be that was her spinoff.
And if you watch Cara Dune's story, it seemed like she was going off on her own saga, and as her new lawkeeper identity. Mm-hmm. I forget what the planet was called, but yeah. So she was sort of somebody who was adrift and disengaged and sort of dejected about the state of war and politics, and she sort of her character found a new purpose, and she was going to go forward into this new series. And this had been lingering since even season 1 of The Mandalorian. Gina Carano's. And you don't even want to call it politics. It's just her toxic beliefs about, where her racist rants, her anti-vaxxing stances, her transphobia, and just it piled up to a certain point where you do wonder, like, when it comes to a huge company like Disney, like what the tipping point was. And I guess the tipping point came on. Was it Wednesday, or did it happen the day before?
It was. Wait, was it? It was yesterday. It was
basically where she compared people being mad at her for being a bigot and a transphobe to the way the Jews felt harassed by the Nazis.
Germany. Yeah. And we should say we don't know. If there is speculation, rumors, was she already fired, but this was what made them Lucasfilm finally put out a statement, or was this just the straw that broke the camel's back? And that
it's one of those things where it's like you've I don't know. I can't get inside the heads of Gina Carano or a Kevin Sorbo, or I'm just naming actors who are idiots, or Gina Carano who sort of found her way into acting, but. Yeah, I saw a lot of tweets that were very similar. It's like, you're part of Star Wars. You're about to get your own show. All you have to do is not be trash, and you can't even do that. Or you double down on your own trash.
That's what's crazy to me is like because it doesn't seem like again we don't know anything, but it doesn't seem like they got rid of her when her first highly questionable, and I'm using that very politely, tweet started. But here's the thing: that one thing we know for certain about how Hollywood works, but especially if you're working for Disney and Lucasfilm, which is you have a million people talking to you saying you got to stop this shit. Like you got to just either stay off social media or just keep your social media.
No, that's why it's so crazy. Where it's like it's almost like a challenge. It's like, hey, you can have a huge fan base and a TV show, multiple TV shows. You'll have people making fan art of you for like decades. You are going to be part of the Star Wars universe in a major role. All you have to do is not click that send button.
Right.
And you can't do that. It's just you're such a I don't know. I can't wrap my head around it. But that makes sense as when you say something like maybe she was already fired. But we don't know the full story. A lot of people, are the alt-right or even the right just calls out cancel culture. But like you can be fired from your job for saying abhorrent things. Like you are not you don't get to just anyone can fire you. It's like whether you work at a Starbucks or whether you work for Disney, you can be fired from your job. It's not cancel culture.
Yeah. And it's like also it's like I mean again it's just there's different levels of these things because some people then are making the equivalency. Oh, what about James Gunn? They brought him back. James Gunn was old tweets that he was very publicly apologetic for and has never been like that again. The comparison that does make sense is Roseanne, who after her show came back and was very successful and we knew she had a history of saying crappy things, did it again. After we're sure
she was told multiple times by multiple people and multiple entities in her orbit that stop this. And they're like
don't keep doing this, but can't stop themselves from doing it.
You know what? You play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. You live in a circus, you're going to be a clown. You fuck around, you're going to find out. There are many phrases to use.
It is crazy, too. Because, when they did that the Disney big presentation in December where they announced 10 million things that we'll watch forever on Disney+, it was conspicuous that Rangers of the New Republic was no details. Like that, we're doing an Ahsoka spinoff with Rosario Dawson, and Robert Rodriguez is involved with Filoni and Favreau, and then we're doing Rangers of the New Republic, and it was like nothing else.
Yeah, and okay, I enjoyed Gina Carano on the show. Mm-hmm. I like the way she looks. I like her character. She's not a strong actress.
No,
and she's not a big enough character yet in this world to even have a small layer of protection.
No.
And she just came out of The Mandalorian's second season with a bunch of other badass people introduced that season, from Timothy Oliphant to Katie Sackhoff and Sasha Banks to like all these other characters, which were like, it wasn't just the sort of trio of Mandalorian's first season.
Right.
Where she was way more of it was like Mando, her, what's Grief.
Yeah.
And the droid. Yeah. you know all the names. So anyway, but like it was just more guest stars and fun new characters in season 2 that she got outshined by Bill Burr.
Yeah.
But he could come back for Rangers of the New Republic.
People were saying, he could be. I mean, again, based on that title, this was always going to be an ensemble show. But I think it's easy to assume we're probably right. It would be an ensemble show that she would be a part of, and now they're going to completely, just reconceive it where she's not a part of it. The question then becomes, do they recast or not? But like you were saying, I was tweeting this last night. It's like the character is not it's so important or such a big deep backstory that they need to continue with her. So they could recast her, but it also might be easiest just not to go back to her. And either one works, because she's not so like integral to what they are doing. that they have to keep on with Cara Dune. But yeah, it's too bad because like there was certainly promise there, like a tough rebel who was one of the survivors of Alderaan. There's plenty to work with there, but not for her. So
not for her, not anymore. I just also want to, like, at a midpoint in this podcast, I say midpoint knowing that, well, it's not really the midpoint, but just apologize to everyone. My word maker is on the fritz right now. I am so fried from today. Eric knows. So I'm not going to remember IG-11 and grief and different names like that. I'm going to struggle to find the words that I want to say. So going forward, I hope you forgive me. It's sticking with The Mandalorian here. We'll stay the star of The Mandalorian, who we're not quite sure when season 3 is landing because the Tome of Boba is coming next. And
who wrote the book of Boba?
And but Pedro Pascal. So this is something we were talking about because you were talking about how you just bought these games at a discount, and you want to. I said I would read Sandman before that series came out. You said you would play, at least the first game before the season comes out of The Last of Us, which is from Craig Mazin, and it's going to be on HBO. And they finally announced who is playing. Obviously, there's more casting coming, but these are the main characters that people are super going to get excited about or angry about, which is Joel and Ellie. The main duo of the series, and they're going to be played by Pedro Pascal of The Mandalorian and Wonder Woman 1984 and Game of Thrones, along with Bella Ramsey from Game of Thrones as well. Again, both of them were from the show. Neither of them ever acted together or in the same season. But she played Lady Lyanna Mormont, who is sort of a standout in the last 2 seasons of the show as the child ruler of Bear Island. Just really fun, really strong, fun young character with some super cool side eyes and glares and stuff like that. And apparently she was also on His Dark Materials, which I couldn't get past a couple episodes on.
She is in the much better second season of His Dark Materials.
Yeah, I couldn't make it through the first one. Okay, much better. I still won't stick it through. But yeah, so she was on that as well. So she is an HBO reg. She
had three HBO shows in a row. So she was announced earlier in the day, and then at night, both the Gina Carano and then the other casting for Last of Us all happened like after hours, like after work hours. And so it was. Which is funny because with Gina Carano, that very typically happens. Like negative news they purposely put out late at night because they're hoping it won't get covered as much. Not that it still, it doesn't matter these days. But then the Pedro Pascal one, who I'm sure like Deadline or whoever just got the scoop and they ran it. So it was just very funny because Gina Carano, we learn, fired from The Mandalorian, her own damn fault. And then Pedro Pascal, who's just like a beloved internet presence and seems like a very nice, good person. It was like an hour later. It's like, oh, but the star of The Mandalorian
gets to headline a completely different, highly anticipated
huge,
show,
beloved, franchise.
Again, one that's a little more controversial because it's an adaptation of a video game, and as we've even seen with the casting of the Borderlands movie, Eric. Side quest here, Eric. I don't know what to do about fans who only care that the actors involved exactly match the look of the person that they're supposed to. It drives me so fucking crazy.
It's bizarre.
Where it's like Dracula can't be like that. Dracula's like this. No, Dracula's like nothing. Dracula's made the fuck up. Like, I'll mention this very quickly. Jack Black just got cast as the voice of Claptrap, who's a robot from the Borderlands games. He's going to voice that. But before that, very cool news that Jamie Lee Curtis was cast as a character named Tannis from the games. Now, guess what? Jamie Lee Curtis is going to be an amazing Tannis. But she's older than Tannis is in the game. So people are like, why is she older? I'm like, why is anything anything?
Right.
Tannis doesn't have to be shit. Tannis is a made-up character.
It's just the weird, fixation. I saw this one comment. I know I'm just choosing one random comment, but it's the mindset that you're talking about, Matt, which is because Bella Ramsey broke earlier in the day, right? That she would be playing Elle. Is that the name?
Ellie.
Am I kidding? So then it's like, okay, well,
I say Ellie. That's my IG-11 for you.
So then there's then okay, well, who's going to play Joel? And I saw this one guy say, well, she sounds like she might be good, but let's wait and see on Joel, because if it's not Nikolai Coster-Waldau, then I will have severe reservations about this show.
Oh, so they just wanted one person to play.
There's one person, and it has to be him or the entire show. There's no other actors who we could even consider.
Yeah, that is a very extreme version of what I'm talking about. But yeah, like the people who are upset that Jamie Lee Curtis, who is like, fuck you, if you can get Jamie Lee Curtis to be a character in like a video game adaptation movie of a fun character like that, that's amazing. And be like, why is she older than Tannis in the video game? It's like, because Tannis doesn't exist.
Right.
Tannis exists. It's all make-em-ups. Like,
they
Tannis
did an older version, and it's the shit that people just complain about until they don't care about. Like, why is Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne older in the MCU? Because they are.
Yeah.
Because that's what they did,
And, they were mad because Kevin Hart's shorter than Roland is supposed to be. It doesn't fucking matter. Anyway, should mention Jack Black, another cast member, along with Cate Blanchett from the Eli Roth movie. What is it? The House with the Clock up its ass? Or something?
House with the Clock on its walls.
Yeah, so he worked with Eli Roth previously too. Okay, so very cool. Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey. Excellent casting. People still complained about it because they aren't carbon copies of what Joel and Ellie look like. They look really damn close, by the way. Like, as far as casting goes, like, they could have gone a lot different with looking, for the characters. They still look pretty close to Joel and Ellie.
Right.
So people who are looking for, like, the differences in the way they look from these video game characters, by the way, based on either pictures from other shows that they're on or pictures of them on the red carpet and not what they're going to look like on Last of Us. You know what I mean? Like, this, you're not looking at a picture of Pedro Pascal as Joel. You're looking at Pedro Pascal. So they are looking at them already looking different than their characters because they're their normal human selves.
It's just weird. It happens with comic books too, where it's like because there is a version of them visually, that's just the fixation. Because it doesn't happen with novels. Like, this is a whole other conversation I can get into, but it's like, why do people not freak out nearly as much about changing the race of a character from a novel versus a comic or a video game? And it's just because they didn't see, even if the description says like they didn't see it. And they get fixated on, well, it was drawn that way, or it was digitally made in a game that way. Thus, that's it. Like,
I've had it, Eric. I've had it with this day. I've had it with these fans.
We should just be happy about this news. We shouldn't need to do that.
I'm on the edge where I gotta be. I'm doing like the Pacino speech in Heat.
Before we get to
I gotta keep my darkness.
Last news of the week, I'll just say it was interesting to me going into like Hollywood minutia to learn in that article about Pedro Pascal being cast that they mentioned, of course, he's also a Mandalorian, and that's continuing, but that he is in, quote, first position on Last of Us, which is a Hollywood term when actors are signed to multiple projects, but it basically means...
It means that Last of Us has priority.
Yes, that they get, if there was ever a scheduling conflict, they have him. It's very unusual. It surprised me because Mandalorian is a giant Lucasfilm Star Wars project that they would allow that. But I thought maybe it is very unique to that show because they can do it without him,
Yeah. Well, wait till he has to wear the Last of Us armor. You haven't played the game, Eric. Joel gets suited up like a mech.
Yeah. So maybe that's it. It's just the fact that it's like when he signed on to the show, it's like, oh, you can do other roles. There's flexibility. But then I'm still surprised because it's a Star Wars. It's a Star Wars, and you'd think that they would make it contractual that he has priority on that, but they don't. So I look, they'll make it work. He was on set a lot more for season 2 of Mandalorian. Maybe season 3 he goes back to being there less. If these are filming at the same time, they might be totally fine and they film separately. We will see.
All right. Finally, news wise, again, we cherry pick the news. We don't do all the news. We do the biggest stories that are important to us and the ones.
What if our podcast tagline though was like all the news?
All the news. We would have to do one every day. That's the thing. Right. We would have to do it every day, Eric. And I'm not willing to do that because I already had a day and I'm done with it. All right. we've been talking about Adam Wingard a lot. We've only had 3 previous episodes of this podcast, but he's been brought up a lot because we talked about the Godzilla franchise, which then led into Death Note, and then we had Anime Talk separately from that, which also brought that up again. Mm-hmm. So he is...
And just us enjoying Your Next and The Guest.
Yeah, both of those movies, which we haven't officially recommended. Ain't a good thing to enjoy yet, so we might not like them. But he is doing, and it was falsely labeled at first, a remake of Face Off, which, gets us back into the Lauren question of, is this necessary? A Face Off remake, reboot, Eric, is it necessary? Only if it's good. But he actually stated, Adam Wingard said, that he would never want to remake it. He is doing a sequel to it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, what's that like? Is it going to have Cage and Travolta in mini roles as the old face-offers?
Right.
Being like, I remember when my face was off.
Yeah, you got to assume it's a reboot because as much as, there's still always the Cage legend... Travolta's kind of ebbed a little more in recent years. They'd still want to have 2 hot young stars. So I assume it'll be a reboot of some sort. Everything in the first movie happened. Travolta and Cage might very well be in this movie. And maybe there'll be some third act shenanigans where their faces come off. But I'm guessing there'll be 2 other stars who are the focus of this movie. But we'll see.
Rock and Kevin Hart.
Right. There you go.
I'm trying to think who should face off. Are we going to do a biggie and a smallie, a fatty and a skinny?
All I know is I'll be really angry if it's ladies facing off, Matt.
They better not. They better not gender flip my facing off.
Right. Women can't face off.
They can only face on. I don't even know what that means. Okay. We're moving on here from the news. There was a quick thing about that CBS handed a pilot order to the True Lies TV reboot series.
Yeah,
that was previously a Fox series, but we don't have to talk about that. That's all we need to say about it, really. There's a pilot order for a long in development True Lies TV series based on the 1994.
We can say
James Cameron movie. James Cameron and Mick G are still,
but I don't think he'll have any. He'll just make some money, probably.
And Mick G. Well, Matt Nix of Burn Notice, and
it's Mick G who made it happen, who really wanted it to happen. And Matt Nix, Burn Notice creator, the 2 of them worked together on the Turner and Hooch Disney Plus show, and that's where this kind of and True Lies is now a Disney property because of the 20th Century Fox acquisition. And so Turner and Hooch led to True Lies.
That makes Helen Tasker a Disney princess.
Yes, it does. This, I will assume, will be a clean reboot, just taking the concept again.
Yeah. It's just gonna drag out the concept of the wife finding out that her husband is a super spy. But the passionless marriage is still a big part of it. Remember they did the passionless marriage where they were both spies? What was it? J.J. Abrams did that.
Oh, yeah, Undercovers.
Undercovers, yeah. Okay. That was like True Lies, but no one was lying to each other because they were both spies.
I think, and I want to say that was the that was the last pilot that Abrams actually wrote and directed.
Was that Gugu and Bothra?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that was the first time I saw Gugu and Bothra.
And I was like, that is a lovely woman. Yeah, because that is the last pilot. Abrams, of course, has still produced a million things, but on the TV side, he hasn't written and directed anything since Undercovers.
All right, because he perfected the pilot with Undercovers.
Yes.
It wasn't a great show. It wasn't that good.
Lost and Alias. This is the pilot they will remember me for.
Okay, we're moving into a good thing to enjoy, where we both recommend something. As I mentioned, I am scrambling my brain, so I'll let you go first, Eric.
Yeah, I will go first with a recommendation mixed with a little tribute, which is to say Christopher Plummer passed away this past week. Again, a kind of a strange month for losing legends in their 90s. All these actors who made it to their 90s, lived long, wonderful lives filled with amazing performances that have passed away pretty close together. But Christopher Plummer was the most recent. Of course, an amazing career that was highlighted by Sound of Music, and then a lot of people, of course, Star Trek 6, they love him for. Knives Out is going to be, for a lot of younger people, a big touchstone of recent cinema, but he's got 10 million credits. But I wanted to recommend a movie that is under the radar for many, including myself until just 2 years ago, which is called The Silent Partner.
I don't even know this. I thought you were going with something kitschy and fun from the 80s like Dragnet, where he wasn't like the star of the movie, but yeah. Okay, what's Silent Partner?
Dragnet is great as well. Silent Partner I only know about because the New Beverly, local movie theater revival house here owned by Quentin Tarantino, double featured it at Christmas a couple years ago with Die Hard. And Silent Partner stars Elliot Gould, and it's basically about it's set in
What year is this?
78.
Okay.
And it basically it's I don't want to even get too much into the plot except to say it's about a bank teller played by Elliot Gould who figures out he wants to try to like do a scam that will steal him some money, but unfortunately by doing this it gets him into trouble with a very, very dangerous criminal played by Christopher Plummer. And it's really good. It's like this cool. It's interesting. The writer, by the way, Matt, is Curtis Hanson, who would go on to direct like Confidential and Wonder Boys and a bunch of and River Wild. But he wrote this, and yeah, it's great. I'd never heard of it, and just watched it. You know, we watched it because it was with Die Hard, and then I was like, oh, this is a really, really good movie. You can rent. It's weird. I was looking up how the fact that you can't buy it, yet you can rent it on Amazon and most of the online places you can rent a movie for $4. You'll find this one too. Don't know why you can't buy it, but you should check it out. It's really good. And the only funny thing I'll say about it is there's a little bit. It's not like a deadly. You know, it's not like 100% serious. There's like some light comedic moments, but it's a thriller. And it is funny that I was looking at like old VHS covers and posters, and it was totally like a very wacky Elliot Gould image that is not what the movie is at all. It was like funny man Elliot Gould.
Was it the with him with Grover?
Yes, it was sexy.
The sexy photo shoot with him and the Sesame Street gang.
Yes. Oh, and John Candy is in it in one of his early roles.
Curtis Hanson, man. Well, so he wrote it, right? He didn't direct it. Yeah, Curtis Hanson, Gone Too Soon. Solid films. Like there are some excellent directors out there who just make really strong films, but they're not like a Tarantino or a Scorsese where they have like a genre, or like a Kubrick where he has such a objective cold tone to it. Like there are some that are just like master craftsmen who could do all different kinds of movies, and Curtis Hanson was like that. So he could do River Wild and 8 Mile and LA Confidential. Peter Weir is another director like that. There's several. We should make a list of like directors. Good.
Unfortunately, he didn't keep up with it, but of course, the early films of Rob Reiner are just like this amazing, like
a lot of different types, movies,
different genres.
Like from Stand By Me to Few Good Men to like he did When Harry Met Sally, right?
Yeah, Spinal Tap.
Okay, I am copping out. I'm not skipping this week. I'm just going back to fucking last week when I talked about, or was it 2 weeks ago? I forget. When I talked about how I liked Moonstruck. Moonstruck is a great film. I don't know. I didn't do any. Obviously, I'm picking this straight off the top of my head right now. I don't know if it's streamable. I'm sure you could rent it somewhere. But Moonstruck is from 1987, and it is a romantic comedy that just really holds up. It's really well written. It was written by a playwright, and it won Best Original Screenplay. I think Cher won for Best Actress. Olympia Dukakis won for Best Supporting Actress. It was nominated for many more than that. And it was just a sort of a standout breakout hit of 1987. A solid, speaking of Mr. Face-Off or Mr. Co-Face-Off, it has Nicolas Cage in it in one of his great earlier roles. And Cher and what's that guy's name from... I told you, me with the names today. What's the guy's name from Little Shop?
We're talking about Vincent Gardenia. Is he in that? Because Danny Aiello's in it.
Yeah. Vincent Gardenia is Olympia Dukakis' husband.
Oh, okay.
Danny Aiello is Nicolas Cage's brother in that movie. And there's a great, also, scene in this. There's two scenes that I always remember from this movie. One is where Olympia Dukakis' character is pretty sure her husband is having an affair. And so she's going to a restaurant, an Italian restaurant, a neighborhood place that she goes to all the time to eat by herself. And she sees a professor get a drink thrown in his face by a young student who he's dating in a table next to him. And he's played by John Mahoney. And the two of them wind up having dinner together. And it's a great scene. It's a great couple of scenes between Olympia Dukakis and John Mahoney. My co-star, John Mahoney, by the way.
Yes, you worked with the man.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, my dad knew a long time ago Christopher Plummer. They did theater together in England. Okay, so, and then the other scene that I love is, I always think about this when I think about romantic comedies, which is like, the movie is about, Cher is a widow and she's about to marry Danny Aiello. Like she's being, it's not an arranged marriage, but it kind of is, in this, tight-knit Italian community. But her brother, Danny Aiello's estranged brother, played by Nicolas Cage, falls in love with, Cher's character, Loretta. And it's sort of this thing, it's like, don't marry my brother, marry me. And like, but she's like, I'm promised to him, I'm supposed to. Anyway, Nicolas Cage has this whole thing where he's like, goes against like the fairy tale elements of love, but not saying that love doesn't exist, like not that kind of poo-pooing on the fairy tale of happily ever after, but that love is supposed to like, so his quote is kind of like, love doesn't make things nice, love ruins everything. It breaks your heart, it makes things a mess, and like, that's, I think a lot of people can relate to that, where it's like, yeah, love kind of ruins a lot of things. It's really awful sometimes, and it's not the sunshine and rainbows and stuff like that. So I always remember that speech. Anyway, Moonstruck is my pick, because I was, you may have heard I had a day. Okay.
According to your enemy, justwatch.com, it is streaming on if you have Roku, it's on the Roku channel with ads. And otherwise, you can rent it or buy it at all the places, all the usual Apple, Amazon, etc., etc. I have, Matt, finally had some incorrect JustWatch.com things, but I have learned it's because it's something where it left recently, including the Leprechaun movies, because it was still listed as HBO Max.
I'm telling you, that site is just full of wrong turns.
It's 99% been right for me, but
in fact, try to see where the wrong turn movies are streaming. It won't even get that right.
100% wrong for Matt. But it might be on the Roku channel. Otherwise, you could rent or buy Moonstruck anywhere you can rent or buy things.
Our good things to enjoy this week have been Silent Partner and Moonstruck. Directed by, I don't know, and Norman Jewison.
Directed by Daryl Dukes, I believe, not David Dukes, the KKK guy.
Oh, well, I was just saying that would have been an extra story. Okay.
Daryl Duke, singular. Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into RoboCop.
And say, obviously, for next week, we're watching RoboCop 2.
RoboCop 2, spoilers for RoboCop? Are you down with OCP, Eric? Because you know me. I am on my way to Delta City. We're talking about RoboCop, one of the standout gems from Orion Pictures, which started the same year as Silent Partner in 1978. And, man, Orion had, for like 20 years, had some bangers, man, because they had like sci-fi action movies that were great, but they also had like Platoon and like award-winning movies and Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, the late 80s, early 90s, it's kind of funny because they collapsed right after, but they had this kind of boom period with RoboCop, Bill and Ted, Platoon, Dances with Wolves, Silence of the Lambs. Like, everything was coming up Orion.
That's 2 Best Picture winners, right? No, 3. 3 Best Picture winners, Eric.
Yeah.
3! In like 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh, rest in peace, Orion. And Curtis Hanson.
They're now owned by... The former Orion is now all their stuff is owned by MGM, which is why like the RoboCop remake was made by MGM and why the new Bill and Ted was made by MGM. So the name Orion still exists. Like Bill and Ted 3 used it, but kind of has like an offshoot of MGM at this point. It's not the real Orion.
Well, then fuck that. All right. I don't know if we need to. We'll see how this works. I guess like with our movie recaps, we don't usually go through beat by beat by beat like we might do with, Pride of the X-Men because it's only 22 minutes.
Yeah.
But we'll talk. We'll start at the beginning. We'll just sort of go through, but not touch on everything. It's RoboCop. At the time, I think, as young as we were, we still understood that this was a satire of the business world of the 80s. I think we got that it was supposed to be funny. The opening of this movie starts with...
That's the thing. And the commercial.
Yeah, and the same thing you could say about, like, also Running Man, where they had, like, the other game show where you climb a rope where vicious dogs are under you. Like, we understand when they're showing us a dystopian future that's satirical. And so I think you and I understood that, but also, like... that the violence itself, the ultra violence, the super gore and the bloodiness of like the gunshots, like which repeated itself also in like Total Recall and other Verhoeven movies. Like when his squibs go off in a body when someone's shot, like their chest explodes, you know, like the blood goes everywhere. It's not a polite bullet hole. But what was focused on by a lot of critics of this era was the violence of RoboCop. Like very specifically, there is hardcore violence in this movie. It is done by Verhoeven. It is meant to sort of turn that corner into cartoonish and add to the satire. I think the most we get from that is the guy who's killed in the boardroom, like pretty close to the beginning, where how non-reactive people are to it afterwards. But yeah, this whole movie set up by a very long opening of news reports. Like you go through like 3 stories of different news reports that aren't that funny. Like they're not completely ridiculous. So we're not verging on comedy here, but it does give you a sense of the world in the 80s where...
And they're very pointedly doing a near future thing, which I thought was underlined by 2 different references to Star Wars, which is not the movie series, but the Reagan's anti-missile like defense system. So it's like that's referenced in the opening, and then it comes up later too. So it's like it is meant to be like this is the around the corner, 5 minutes from now, future, and even like the things they're dealing with is stuff now, but everything's escalated, and this is the path we're on. Is clearly like corporations are taking more and more things over. Well, what if they're taking over the cops too?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So the news sets up the fact that Omni Consumer Products (OCP) has made a deal with the city of Detroit to run their police.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the police are privately owned at this point, and so that sort of sets us into the story, along with, before we even see a bit of violence, we don't see a drop of blood, but we get a news report about Clarence Boddicker having killed 31 police officers. So
is it 31?
Yeah, so he's wanted for the murders of 31 police.
Oh, that's total. That's total.
Yeah, no, not at once. It's not like
because I think it is a report about him having just killed like 3 or 4. Yeah, no, there's one survivor.
One Fredrickson or somebody is in the hospital, but yeah, he's wanted for the murders of 31 cops, which is an astoundingly high body count. So it's almost a little tease of the body count for this movie is that this guy is wanted for one, and that a news anchor can hear that and still just be a chipper, like, good luck, Frank, in the hospital.
Right. I will say, because you're saying how they cover a lot of stories, but they're like blowing through them. Like, it's like they're just saying one crazy thing after another, and they'll, like, later in the movie, it's like, there was a misfire with Star Wars, and it's like 130 people are dead in Santa Barbara, including 2 ex-presidents. A sad day. And then they just go to the next story.
That's the thing. 31 police officers are dead. Yeah. Wink. So, obviously, the senseless death is shrugged off very easily by these news anchors, and we'll see it shrugged off by actual people, characters in the movie, very soon. And
there was... interesting casting of Lisa Gibbons as one of the newscasters, who was a very familiar face in the 80s because she was the not Mary Hart female co-host of Entertainment Tonight. She was the weekend host and sub for Mary Hart. But if you watched Entertainment Tonight, and if you were a kid like me in the 80s and there was like no internet and you wanted to know all the entertainment news you could, I watched the hell out of Entertainment Tonight.
And you tape Entertainment Tonight when there was a trailer. So if a trailer was coming up, we would put our tapes in the VCR and tape it so we could rewatch it.
And they probably wouldn't even show the whole thing, but it was still exciting to even get to see part of a new trailer.
Well, yeah, sometimes they would just show, like, clips.
Or they'd talk over it.
Oh, man.
In retrospect, it was terrible.
Shut up, Lisa Gibbons. Yeah.
But at the time, so Lisa Gibbons, getting a little, a familiar face playing one of these newscasters there.
All right. Since I already brought up Clarence Boddicker, I just wanted to talk about how goddamn amazing Clarence Boddicker, Kurtwood Smith, played by Kurtwood Smith, is in this movie.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I'm trying to think how old I was, but there were elements of this movie that still kind of scared me. Like, I felt really I still feel uncomfortable watching the death of Alex Murphy. Like, with the glee that Clarence Boddicker sort of lords over him and the playfulness of him. I did a tweet a few days ago, but he's very Joker-like in this movie. And what I really like about Clarence Boddicker is that he doesn't look like a crime boss or a thug.
Nope.
He looks like the accountant you throw out the window. You know, like...
Balding dude with spectacles.
Who apparently was scripted to wear glasses because the idea was that he was supposed to look like Heinrich Himmler, if you go by Wikipedia. But yeah, what I love about Clarence Boddicker is that he is ruthless, he is insane, he doesn't look the part, and he is a crime boss that is also the point man for his crew. Like, he is there in the robberies. He is there shooting guns with you. When he's going to hunt down we're skipping to the end here, but when he goes to hunt down RoboCop in the end, he is not afraid. Like, he is not hiding behind his guys. He is a warrior, and he's so glib and malicious that he's scary. And a lot of people know Kurtwood Smith in a broader sense from that 70s show as Red Foreman, the dad, in a very funny role, a very different role, and for, maybe even a different generation who maybe grew up more with that show when they were kids than we did. We were older. Mm-hmm. But this was, I think this movie introduced me to a lot of actors like Miguel Ferrer and Ronnie Cox and a lot of people who I'd never seen before. But Kurtwood Smith, this was definitely my first time with him. And going forward after this, he's played a lot of generals in a lot of action movies going forward, but he's always been Clarence Boddicker to me. And one of, this is such a strong, tight movie but he is a excellent kind of sub-villain.
Yeah, it's just terrific cast across the board, but the villains really stand out. He is so great. He is, so terrific. And then, it's a great counterpoint with Ronnie Cox. And then it's funny because Miguel Ferrer is not the villain of the movie. I mean, but he's a bad person. Everyone in OCP is some level of terrible.
I mean, the old man is the best person, and he's still not great. So,
and he still doesn't give a shit that the only reason he gives a shit that his employee was killed in front of him is because now they can't release Ed 209. Like, it's not like.
Well, I think he even says
I'm very
to
disappointed.
Dick Jones, "I'm very disappointed." After poor Mr. Keller gets cut to ribbons by Ed 209's machine guns. So we go into the precinct in old Detroit, which is riddled with crime, which is soon to be Delta City. But the police are outnumbered. They're getting killed, mostly by Clarence Boddicker. And there's talk of a strike happening. And while all this is going on, while Cecil is taking donations for Fredrickson's family.
No, Cecil.
Oh, Cecil, the guy holding the can. In walks Alex Murphy, who's been transferred there from what we assume is a safer, swankier precinct.
Mm-hmm. Well, they make reference to that, wherever he was. I do want to know how nice it was, because it just seems like it's a tough life in this near future. But apparently, wherever he was a lot easier going than this precinct.
I think another reason Clarence Boddicker and his crew, because they're all a bunch of cackling assholes. They're all just a bunch of hyenas who just have no regard for human life.
Purposely cartoonish, again, played by such a good group of actors that you have fun with them.
Was it Ray Wise, who we'd see later?
And Ray Wise are kind of the most notable because they both have had long careers as character actors since, And
Paul McCrane's death. We'll get to that. Anyway, I think they work so well also because not only are they facing RoboCop, who is a robot and doesn't emote really, but even when Peter Weller was Murphy, he was still super dry. Mm-hmm. So even as Murphy, who they interact with him when they're killing with him, you counterbalance the strong-jawed, stoic hero with like the Batman and Joker. Like that's the dynamic that really works. And so Murphy comes in. You see a lot of things here that we would see later on in a movie, Starship Troopers, which is like the co-ed showers and changing rooms and the sort of the using women but not in a sexual manner, which is something that Paul Verhoeven was very big on. In fact, when Nancy Allen got cast, he didn't want her hair long. He didn't want her to be sexualized. He had her cut her hair
and he had her gain weight.
Yeah, gain weight.
He didn't. Yeah, he didn't want the audience thinking it was even a possibility. Now that says something, of course, about society. That it's like, well, if she's less like traditionally attractive, then they won't think it. But he didn't want the.
I mean, Verhoeven was doing his part in '87.
right.
Sort
no,
of
exactly.
And we would see it later again with everyone's just bunks and showers and lives together in Starship Troopers as well, and it's just part of this.
Changes in front of each other and no one cares. Yeah.
And so he's paired with Anne Lewis. Is that her first name?
They barely say her last name. I believe you're right, but
well, her name is Lewis. Yeah. And they are partners for all of an hour before they get a call.
They have a day.
They have a day. You think I had a day? Well, Alex Murphy really had a day, and they get one call. And it is a sort of, I guess it's not a botched robbery, but all of Clarence's money got burned in an explosion. And it's a, great Clarence scene where one of his crew members gets shot and he throws him out the truck. He's like, "Can you fly, Bobby?" And he throws him out. But one of my favorite moments of that is...
I do want to pause for 1 second, because you're saying that line, which is to note that this movie notably has 3 future Twin Peaks actors in it. Ray Wise, Miguel Ferrer, and Dan O'Hurley, who played Andrew Packard on Twin Peaks as the old man. So 3 future Twin Peaks actors. But one thing I never noticed, Matt, until I was watching this movie last night, is it also has a Bob and a Bobby.
Yeah.
Bob is Miguel Ferrer, which is an unusual thing Twin Peaks does of using the same name.
It's actually kind of a screenwriting no-no. Yeah, as far as you're not supposed to name characters so similarly.
RoboCop. I think a lot.
That might be it. I mean, maybe he was a director who was up for it. I know Cronenberg was, and a few others of the era like to direct RoboCop. But like the van is out of control, and it's going down the street or speeding down the street, and Murphy and Lewis are tailing. And the first thing, and this is just also speaking to the society and what it is to be a cop in old Detroit, is he literally takes Lewis's gun and he just hangs out the window, immediately just shooting at the truck with 2 guns blazing out of the window. Like that's how they engage with who. I don't even know if they knew who was in the truck, but who knows. But this all leads to the old mill. There is an old man and an old mill, and this is where Alex Murphy meets his very hyper violent demise. And I feel like we watched the unrated version. I know there was a question for us on Twitter of which one we were watching.
I 100% did because I watched my Blu-ray, so I am curious what's on Amazon.
I feel like I did because I looked at the differences, and it seemed like what I saw on Amazon was the unrated cut.
Which are most notably in the unrated cut are Murphy's death and Due to Get Shot by a 209 both go on even longer and are both bloodier.
Yeah, I feel like it was. And there was like a very distinct shot of Murphy being shot in the head as well, like when the back of his head gets blown out. But I guess, one of the jokes of that scene, aside from Clarence being playful in his malice, is the fact that Murphy's still alive after he gets filled with 100 holes.
They even try to resuscitate him. Yeah, that they even...
But, like, he's alive in the mill, and they're like, he's still alive?
Yeah. He still hasn't died from all those gunshots, the body.
Yeah, so... but yeah, the fact that he is alive, and that his brain is still somehow alive when he's brought in, and that's how he's the perfect candidate for this RoboCop program. And it takes 2 people getting shot to pieces within minutes of each other in the movie to open the door for RoboCop, because one shelves the Ed 209 program and the other opens the door for RoboCop to happen, because Miguel Ferrer's smarmy corporate ladder climbing Bob Thompson? I don't know. Anyway, Bob. It's like, who do you root for at OCP? Maybe just like Bob's friend, who's
Johnson.
Maybe just him, because he's just there. He likes baby food. He liked seeing the bad guy get killed in the end. Like,
he gives a
thumbs up. Like, maybe he's the best guy at OCP, and everyone else is such a soulless weasel. But yeah, it is funny to see so much of the OCP inner workings as far as like the rivalry between Dick and Bob in this movie, which works because it's weird. Like, everyone's an asshole, but who's the real villain? Like, you mentioned how Miguel Ferrer isn't the villain; he's the inventor of RoboCop, which in itself is not I don't know. Are we supposed to root for the RoboCop program?
No, I mean, because also it's like, think about how Bob, the whole thing he says when he suggests the RoboCop program after Ed 209's failure is, we've placed prime candidates according to risk factor. So basically it's like, oh, we've put these cops into the dangerous situations because we know one of them will get killed soon, and then we can use them. So that's like some Mr. Glass shit. It's like, I'm going to kill 300 people like to find one. Yeah. One RoboCop.
So we have already got a villain creating RoboCop. So to make us like RoboCop, we really have to, connecting to his humanity is a big part of it. And according to Wikipedia, Verhoeven was drawn to the script after initially dismissing it.
Also according to the Q&A I watched on the Blu-ray, which was like 2012 screening at UCLA with like all the main, it was like the entire Verhoeven, the writers, the producers, and Peter Weller and Nancy Allen. And he said the same thing. He didn't like the script of hers. His wife read it and said, you should give it another shot.
What drew him to it, though, was the scene where Murphy goes home and has the memories.
Mm-hmm.
So, we mentioned, Ed 209, for whatever reason, malfunctions, kills the guy. Bob's like, that's life in the big city, and we move.
And that was their friend. He's on the elevator with Johnson and Bob in the beginning.
Eric,
so
Eric, that's life in the big city.
That is life in the big
when
city.
you go up with someone in an elevator, it doesn't mean you go down with them.
Right. They might get killed in front of you.
I think two thoughts here. One, TJ Laser should have been a Quibi show. Secondly, the whole sequence, another standout moment from this movie, there's an extended sequence of a few minutes where it's like Alex Murphy's brain-dead POV, watching him over the course of months or so being built into RoboCop and catching little story elements in snippets, like lose the arm and now it's New Year's Eve and stuff. Like, that's a great sequence.
It's a great sequence, and this movie does something very well. I can't remember if you and I have talked about it, or I heard another podcast talking about it, but it's something that I always admire, which is a movie that successfully sells you on their sci-fi bullshit by giving you enough to feel rooted and real. So it's like the little things, like testing his tracking, tracking, like all these little things that you feel this is real. Like, we can invest in this high concept of RoboCop. We can go with, because they are giving us these little things that like sell the idea to us. And that whole sequence is great at that.
Yeah. And just some great shots too. Also, that POV sequence helps delay the RoboCop reveal. Because even when he walks into the precinct,
right,
you only see him through like translucent, like clouded glass, or from the behind, while the cops are all sort of scrambling and running to get a look at him. So even when he comes into the precinct, it's like we're being shielded from him too, like we're part of the precinct. Like, the corporation doesn't even want us to see him.
A funny thing they said about in that Q&A, also I'm going to correct myself and say it's Target, she says. Target, after saying that you're going to test tracking. But they said that one of the reasons they did all those slow reveals was they thought people might like laugh or find RoboCop silly looking if you just show him without the buildup. which is funny because by the time he's iconic now and we just like RoboCop, he's awesome, but also by the fact that when the movie actually came out, he's like on the poster, you just see him. So
yeah.
when they were making the movie, they thought that this would be the first time that people would see him. As this,
one of the great action movie poster taglines too.
Yep. We reference it all the time.
We reference it all the time. Say it, Eric.
Part man, part machine, all cop.
Yeah. So anytime in our lives anyone has said half this, half that, or part this, part that, Eric and I will say all cop. Okay.
All cop.
Then, and the suit, I guess, went over budget. It took a long time to work out the actual mechanics of this suit. And meanwhile, Peter Weller, as dry as he is as an actor, I think he's kind of dry. That's my opinion of Peter Weller. That's his movement. Like, he took movement classes and mime classes to essentially do the robot. Like, he is, like the people who go into droid costumes for Star Wars. He is doing all those movements with the head and the arms and stuff like that. So good for him.
No, it's actually, I was very impressed watching it again last night. You really see it in his sort of first when he gets the RoboCop going into action montage and he goes into the liquor store. He's doing a very distinct movement there. Like, he is moving this slow robotic and everything's very determined, and he can't just he turns his whole body and moves. And it's a very cool physical performance. He is dry, but he's also got a quirkiness to him, which I think helps a lot. Also, of course, he's a non-traditional action movie lead because he's a small guy. Now, part of that was they needed a small guy to be in that damn suit.
Fit in the suit, yeah. If they gotten a Schwarzenegger, he would have been huge. Yeah,
insanely huge, but at 209 size. But yeah, Rob Bottin designed the suit. Rob Bottin, amazing makeup effects guy who kind of most famously did the Thing, all the stuff in that. But he designed the suit, and it's a cool looking suit. And I think Weller does a great job in it of like this very distinct physicality of the fact that he's a freaking cyborg. He's a robot.
I will say that the robbery of the convenience store or grocery store, it was the first time I heard in my life, because I was a young kid, somebody say, "Fuck me." I didn't know that was a phrase until this guy starts screaming it over and over again while shooting his gun at RoboCop.
Yeah.
And, RoboCop's just cool. Like, he gets... I wouldn't call them one-liners, but man, like, is your move creep quotable? Or dead or alive, you're coming with me? Or what is it? Let her go or there will be trouble. Yeah, like the pause before trouble.
It's the enunciation, it's the delivery, and yeah, it
works very well. It makes the moment at the end. Because right now, it feels like he's going through a cyber menu of comebacks or callbacks to say. But in the end, when he says, "I'm not going to arrest you anymore" to Clarence, like, it's chills. It's just chills. Like, because he's acting human at that point, but he still has to speak through his robotics.
Right.
Just great stuff. So he stops a robbery. He's unleashed. OCP has nefarious plans. They want to basically get rid of all the police eventually. They want to clean up old Detroit, but meanwhile, what we don't know until a little bit later is that Dick Jones, the older guy who was part of the Ed 209 project, has a deal going.
Number 2 at OCP
has a deal going with Clarence Boddicker for he's gonna basically let him be the crime lord of all the construction going on at Delta City, where millions of people come in to work on the city, and he can do all the prostitution and the drugs and the gambling and all that stuff. So he's in with Clarence, and we don't know that until RoboCop's a smash hit. And Dick flips the switch and kills Bob using Clarence, basically. But during RoboCop's first night out, like Baby's Day Out, he stops a robbery. He stops like a sexual assault duo by shooting the dude in the dick. That's where the target comes in, Eric.
Yes, it did.
So Target immediately pays off.
Targeting earlier. Yeah.
Pays off, and very coldly tells her to notify. He's going to notify a rape crisis center. And I just want you to know that there's a bunch of shirts and mugs out there that say, "Hey, remember that time RoboCop shot that guy in the dick?" Which I think I'm going to get a mug.
That's pretty. It's funny because the 80s, if you look back, there's like a lot of things that are like, oh, it's weird that we were just like casual about stuff. And one thing is like casual use of like sexual assault in like movies. It's just like just it seems very callous now and just very like But this kind of gets to do it all, because on one hand it's like these they're very cartoonish guys who are chasing this woman, and they're using like this horrible thing as like a shock effect. But then there is the satisfaction of the guy gets shot in the dick. So
yeah,
you do get that at least.
I believe that's the yin and yang of dystopian sci-fi. Okay.
Which leads into Lisa Gibbons has a great memorable RoboCop. Who is he? What is he? Which is a line that always stuck out to me.
RoboCop's third stop in his side missions, his doing side quests all over old Detroit, is a hostage situation where the former mayor has been booted out, and a new mayor former mayor has taken the new mayor hostage, and he's screaming and hollering, and he's like, "I want to recount, and no matter how it turns out, I want my old job back." Who does this sound like, Eric?
I don't know. I don't see any comparisons that I could possibly make. And they said even something about like the first like domestic terrorism in politics. I can't remember. There's something they say, but it's all yeah.
Anyway, RoboCop punches him out a window.
Yeah.
And then there's a commercial for Nukem, which is way more satirical than some of the news stories, but
and Kid Mead loved Nukem. Like I do remember pretty early on going, "You've crossed my line of death." That line really stuck out to Kid Eric.
Speaking of the TV within the movie, we haven't even brought up.
We have not.
I'll buy that for $1, which may be one of the most. I don't know, as far as like something to come out of this movie that people might know about, but might not even know it's from RoboCop.
In a vacuum, they might just.
It can just exist in a sort of a weird internet meme vacuum, which is the TV show with the guy who screams, "I'll buy that for $1," which is very much like "Where Are My Pants?" or from Lego Movie, or like it also looks very Benny Hillish. It looks a lot of like Spanish speaking comedies where it's just like a dopey guy with a lot of bikini women around him, and he's just, making googly eyes at them. But he's got his one catchphrase. We don't necessarily kind of know what it means. I think it means he likes the thing. Whatever the thing is that's happening to him, he likes it.
And that's why it's so funny. And it's a proto-meme itself. Like, its existence within the movie is a meme-type joke because we don't know the context. Because it's whatever you want to put onto it. Because we don't know what the show is fucking about or, like, where that line comes from. We just know everyone loves it. Clarence loves it. He breaks the window to enjoy a new episode.
Oh, well, no. Emil, Paul McCrane's character.
That's right. It's Paul McCrane.
Well, just watching him laugh like uproariously at the line. Like, it's the funniest thing in the world to Emil that he says it again,
Right. He said the thing. It's great. I want to backtrack for a second because you mentioned it in passing, but because the plan for Ed 209, and we kind of presume RoboCop 2 if he's successful, but we know with Ed 209, because Dick says it, is to eventually make this a military, to make more money. First use it in an urban setting, then military. It is funny with Ed 209. Ed 209 is so fucking big. It's like, how would he really police? Like, even the scene when he fights RoboCop in the stairwell, they have to have double doors for him to get into that stairwell.
But then he falls down and he can't get up because he's a baby.
He's a baby. But it's just funny to imagine Ed 209. I just think there's some design flaws with Ed 209 policing.
You mean the fact that if he's knocked over, he's a giant baby and he squeals like a pig?
That's A, and B is he can't walk through a single door.
Also, he doesn't not shoot when he's supposed to.
Well, that's the other one. Yes.
So eventually things come to a head at OCP. Dick Jones has had it. RoboCop, who is he? What is he? The fame is too much for Dick Jones. He wants to kill Bob. Bob's also talking shit about Dick in the bathroom while Dick's trying to take a shit.
Which everyone knows. Everyone knows that's Dick's shitting time, except for Bob.
Yeah,
because Bob's Bob just got into the executive.
So he didn't know that that's the time when basically Dick Jones goes and takes a shit for an hour in the executive restroom.
Like that actor that Steve Bochco had to fire for Murder One.
Okay.
People don't know that story. Just Google Steven Bochco firing actor for shitting. All will be told.
All right. So Dick hears him talking smack about him. The other guy runs out with piss in his pants. And Dick does this. This always makes me laugh when he's like, I used to make fun of my boss. I used to call him names.
Boner.
Iron Butt and Boner. Which should also be a Quibi show.
I will say that I remember very distinctly, Matt, going to summer camp the summer this came out, and wow, we thought it was so funny how Bob says Dick, because his name's Dick, but he says Dick. As an insult. That really made an impact.
It is very clever.
Yes.
So, I already mentioned that Dick has Bob taken out. Uses Clarence. That's when we finally find out they're
ruins his coke party with those two girls.
Yeah, he's doing his coked up 80s thing.
They predict DVD technology because CDs were already out, and so Clarence walks in with what visually people would understand as a CD, but he plays a video on it.
Yeah, and he shoots his legs up. Again, those giant squibs of blood just pour out. Blows him up with a grenade. Miguel Ferrer's time in the movie is over. But then comes... so at the same time, RoboCop's malfunctioning a bit. He's dreaming of Alex Murphy being killed. He's dreaming of scenes from his former life. I don't remember when he actually... Has he gone home yet? I think he he accesses his own files with that the middle finger data knife or whatever, that little dagger that comes out, which is sort of Chekhov's spike, because it plays off in a very The Dark Knight sense of sort of like getting the final villain. But yeah, he finds out who killed him, which is Clarence, and where he lives. And then on his way out, after he has a dream, Lewis even finds him in the hallway and tells him his name's Murphy. So he's having an identity crisis, which leads him to sort of not just patrolling the streets for crime. He specifically goes after... He wants to find Clarence, the guy who killed him. So he finds Leon in the club, who gives up Clarence, who is in a warehouse doing dealings with another drug dealer. And RoboCop...
Clarence gets to be... Kurtwood Smith and Clarence get to be likable and funny when he does the guns, guns, guns.
He's so good. He's so good as Boddicker that he should just fucking go to jail because it's too good. And a great action sequence. RoboCop busts in, the whole thing, and at this point, we've already been introduced to the RoboCop score. I think we first hear it in a big way when he goes out for his first night of patrol. Yes. But now that it soars, he's targeting all the villains around him, shooting him. Cocaine's flying everywhere. He bumps off another member of Boddicker's crew. And there's really cool shots, like overhead shots, like the camera's up in the scaffoldings, like down at him while he's walking through and just shooting everyone. And then he's got Boddicker, and he's throwing him through glass windows. And he has to sort of... He is struggling with his humanity and his want for revenge for, what was taken away from him. And then his protocol comes in and sort of interrupts him at the last minute, where he's, he was going to kill him, but then he's like, he can't kill him. He has to arrest him.
Right.
And this is another time when Kurtwood Smith is super great too, because he can also get the shit kicked out of him. He is not, as much as he will run headlong into a firefight, he is not going to win a battle one-on-one with RoboCop. He's going to get tossed around like a rag doll. And it just works really well, because you see RoboCop at this point is a cop on the edge like any other cop in a movie. Mm-hmm. Going too far. This could happen easily with a human cop. Like, this could, maybe not the superhuman feats of strength, but, we've seen this in other movies where a cop is like, stops himself from going too far.
Yeah.
And then this also pays off later, too, because it's been established earlier that he records things that he sees. So it all comes back. Everything is... There's barely an ounce of fat on this movie.
No. The payoffs are so great. I mean, we're skipping around, but the payoff on the spike that is his computer access spike is perfect. Like, as far as, like, we see it, he scares poor Cecil with it. But the fact that it comes back when it comes back, as pre-established, and in his moment of need, he can use that computer spike. I also want to talk a little more about Ed 209, just because Ed 209 is a very memorable part of the movie, the design of Ed 209, and of course how he shoots the guy up. It is funny. Ed 209 is pointedly is done with stop motion. Even when this movie opened, I remember kind of thinking Ed 209 looked cartoon. Like, there was effects at the time that looked a lot more realistic in other movies than Ed 209 when he's walking around. And it's also funny because stop motion was already kind of a passé. I think, this movie opened the same year as Elm Street 3, which uses stop motion in the skeleton sequence. But, you really have to go back to Clash of the Titans in 81 for a movie that was using it extensively, So it's just funny that they did it for Ed 209. But I think it's also, it works especially when Ed 209 falls on those steps, and it's purposely a very cartoony moment. And he's rolling around, and his toes are moving, and he's making, like, animals stuck on his back noises. So the fact that Ed 209 is not 100% realistic effect, it's still fine.
Yeah, I think, I'm trying to remember what I thought of. I do kind of remember thinking the effects felt a little shoddy, even when I saw the movie, but... Yeah.
Just because other things we were seeing at the time looked, better.
We forgave it because there was so much cool action and other effects that were awesome and copious amounts of blood and stuff like that.
It was a great movie, so it's not like I'm like, fuck that movie for having that stop motion part.
That's what I heard you say, so...
It just... Because they had a full-size Ed 209 that was just static, but they didn't build like a Stan Winston animatronic, they'd use stop motion instead when it was moving.
All right, so then comes RoboCop arresting Clarence, who gets a great moment in the precinct where he spits on the desk and he's like, just give me my fucking phone call. That leads him to Dick Jones, because Clarence gives up Dick Jones, RoboCop tries to go nab him, and then we get hit with the he glitches out because if you try to arrest a member of OCP, you shut down. And that's how Ed 209 is basically allowed to sort of get the drop on him. And not only does Ed 209 mess him up, but on his way out, he gets riddled with bullets by all the cops who are rushing to Dick Jones's defense. And great shot, just that shot of him like crawling along the parking garage while the cops who are very close to him are shooting him up. I don't know, thematically, we had Alex Murphy being shot up by all these villains in a huge way, just riddled with hundreds of bullets, and now he's getting the same treatment, but from the cops. And it's just a cool way, like the way that the headlights of the cars are shining, and
how he's kind of slipping through those the ledges.
And the dust kicking up from the floor too. Yeah, and then he escapes by going down a few levels in the parking garage. Then he's all messed up and he goes and hides out in the old mill. But a little shout out here to Clarence's number one kind of guy who gets the most. The goon who gets the most separate scenes, which is Emil, which is Paul McCrane's character, who not only...
Even though Leon Ray Wise seems to be Clarence's number two, you're right that Emil gets more...
Well, because he was doing the gas station robbery.
And he gets the great, I like it.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah. When
he loves, I'd buy that for $1.
He loves, but I like it too was in the trailer. Like
was it?
It was in the trailer and the commercials where it's like he was, front and center going, I like it after whatever these giant guns are that just shoot explosive bullets.
Right.
And when Clarence blows up, I think Joe is the guy's name, his new 6000 Sucks car, the 6000 SUX, because Clarence has one and he didn't want him to have one either. So he blows it up. But yeah, they're just bonding. It's just Purge Night, by the way, too, because the cops do go on strike.
Yeah.
So you cut to the streets of old Detroit, and it's Purge Night. And then, basically, because everyone's given up everyone at this point. Emil recognizes Murphy enough for Murphy to glitch out, go after Leon. Leon gives up Clarence. Clarence gives up Dick. Like, it's a house of cards that's about to fall. The only thing stopping it is that RoboCop couldn't arrest Dick. And so basically they have to go kill RoboCop. His mind is evidence and they have to kill him. But they've got these cool ass guns. Again, we've already mentioned how Clarence is like, yeah, let's just go kill this thing. So they head off to the old mill. He's got the tracker, that little RoboCop tracker. Mm-hmm. And we're back to where it all started for RoboCop in a really cool, reusing sets, but it's still a really cool set. Like wherever, I don't know, I didn't look up where they were filming this shit, but that whole industrial complex area that they used was really cool and very memorable.
It's great with the water and the crane that Ray Wise gets into. It's and then of course we have to talk about Emil's death, which if I recall correctly, Melted Emil was a Fangoria cover.
Yep, it certainly was.
Which made the movie seem like it'd be a totally different thing because it makes it seem like, oh, this is like a thing in this movie or these melty people or something, instead of just this one extremely memorable moment of how Emil dies so horribly.
Emil's death has to be in a conversation of a short list of the best movie death of all time.
Yes.
Even if it's just like a subsection of it, of like goriest, grossest death of all time. Because you can add some slasher movie kills to that here and there. But this death, it's so layered because I don't want to get off on a huge tangent, but I remember you were talking last week about how terrorism was such a big thing in the 80s, specifically for kids' shows and stuff. But even action movies, like it was a big thing, terrorism. I don't think it's ever sort of gone away, but 80s was a huge heyday for that. It's also a huge heyday for toxic waste. It's also in kids' stuff. So toxic waste was everywhere. It was also in kids' stuff, whether it be Ninja Turtles or Captain Planet or Toxic Avenger.
Toxic Avenger was not for kids.
I saw it when I was a kid.
I did too, but it wasn't supposed to be seen by us.
I don't know. If I saw it, then it was for me.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. So the Karate Kid 3, the villain made his fortune off of dumping toxic waste in South American countries. Yeah. Like it was just everywhere. So the fact that like Emil crashes his truck headlong into just a giant section that says clearly labeled on it toxic waste. It wasn't anything to blink at. It's like, those receptacles were everywhere, weren't they?
Look, they dump it through the Manhattan sewer system every night.
It's true. It gets a toxic waste enemy.
Manhattan, so we know. Toxic waste is everywhere.
Okay, and then so he comes out, he's screaming, he's melting, he is just fried and frizzled to death, and he looks grotesque and awful, and he's clearly this now abomination, and like...
Ray Wise has a very funny "Don't touch me, man" reaction.
And he's just like, "Help me," but it's like, what does that even mean? Is it like Grundlefly? Does he want him to kill him? Like, put him out of his misery? And then he walks right into the chase, and Clarence smashes into him with his 6000 XUX, and his guts go all over the windshield.
And his head flies off and like over the car.
But like the fact that Clarence can't see where he's going because Emil is all over his car then causes him to crash because
also Clarence goes shit. Like he's just like, ugh, like this. I gotta deal with this too. It's not like shit or anything. It's just like a ugh.
I mean, I know Cher and Olympia Dukakis won the Oscars in 1987 for Moonstruck, but why wasn't Kurtwood Smith even nominated?
I know.
Why was it Vincent Gardenia? All right. So, make it a 1987 double feature, Moonstruck and RoboCop. Let's see.
Good movie.
Emil. Yeah, then we bring up the whole stabbing in the neck. Like I mentioned, when I saw Dark Knight, I love that movie, but that moment reminded me of RoboCop because they set up the thing his his bat gauntlets can do, shoot out the little spikies, and then he does it to Joker at the end in the neck. So,
but this was really cool because the spike ultimately, the joke of the spike is, it's actually a computer thing. But now here, when he's vulnerable, he's trapped, he's pinned down.
But that's the other thing is like Clarence and, even with two of them left, he was so close to killing RoboCop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, completely. And then we skipped over the very funny death of Ray Waz, Leon, with his "I got him, Clarence, I got him," and Lewis shoots the super bullet at him, and he blows up.
So good, so good.
And what's great about Sayonara RoboCop, by the way, is Clarence gets the one-liner. It's just that it's like he's the one killed. Like it's a great Sayonara RoboCop. Like it's the line the person gets as they're killing someone.
Yeah, because even T2, that cyborg gets the "Hasta la vista, baby."
Right. But instead, he gets stabbed in the neck, and there's blood everywhere because it's Verhoeven spurting out.
RoboCop now. We didn't mention that after he got shot to pieces by the cops, he took off his helmet and needed time with Lewis to help the targeting recenter. But ever after that, he's just Peter Weller face. His mask is off,
which is creepy to me.
It is. I didn't like it. It's not my favorite, but yeah, I'm with you on that one. But he goes back to OCP. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's going to corner Dick Jones again. But this time, he basically Indiana Jones shoots the swordsman at Ed 209. There is no second battle with Ed 209. He just uses the gun. Yeah. And a very funny, but also there's a part where you're like, oh, I wish they could have fought, but it's also like, the movie's got to end, and this makes sense. So why wouldn't he do it?
He just had a final fight with Clarence, but they still need to deal with Dick, so I can see why they didn't want to also have another Ed 209 fight.
Yeah, so but it's funny. I like it a lot that he just does that, and then we get the showdown and just a really fun moment with the old man, where it's like, when Dick's holding him hostage, he's cornered in the office. It's a full boardroom right now, unlike before. And old man is like, "You're fired," and he cuts,
because RoboCop has explained, I cannot act on executive of OCP.
Yeah, so he says it out loud. The old man is smart enough to figure it out and take the hint and fires Dick on the spot, allowing RoboCop to shoot him full of bullets. He falls out the window. The effects aren't that great, but it's still okay. And I just also want to give a shout out, and this happened with the Karate Kids movies too, Eric. This, I think all four, especially the first three with Ralph Macchio, when a movie just immediately ends after the last fight.
Right.
Good for them. Just no need for no need to visit Lewis in the hospital. No returning to his home once again. Mm-hmm. Just thumbs up.
Famously, the Karate Kid was the scene that opens 2 was going to end 1, but to their credit, they're like, this is stronger if we just go out on Miyagi smiling at him. We don't need that other scene. And they use it in the sequel, and that's fine. But yeah, sometimes you're just like, hey, we told our story,
Yeah, imagine the rest. And so, yeah, thumbs up to RoboCop. And it's a great just final beat where it's like, what's your name? And he's like, Murphy. So RoboCop has now merged his two worlds together as best he can. He recognizes who he is, where he came from. He has an identity, and he is going forward. If we didn't get a sequel, we could still just imagine him going forward as a good cop who has a human mind and judgment.
Right.
And as much of a reconciliation he can have with the tragedy that has befallen him.
Yep. I will mention first of all, love the movie. It's great. It holds up. It's super fun, super cool. The satirical stuff is this nice little edge to it. Also, many people pointed out at the time, it was one of the best comic book movies we'd ever had at the time, even though it wasn't based on a comic book, just because it had that feel, because at the time, only the first couple Superman movies had been a successful, we're still 2 years away from Burton's Batman. So This was like, oh, this feels like a cool comic book, even though it wasn't based on one. I do want to backtrack a tiny bit and just mention a couple things that I realized we didn't talk about, which is one. I think it is funny that he asks Lewis about his wife, like, where did she go? And it is a funny thing that she's just like, she thought you were dead. She wanted to move on with her life, but we don't get an answer. It's like he's not given that answer. So they just decide, he's not going to find out. I guess you have to imagine, would he ever like try to find her or just be like,
he might, like in an imagined sequel if they hadn't made sequels, but yeah.
Right.
Like,
and then one thing let's not say what actually happens in the sequels for people who might not
I don't remember. So
okay. Well, I think you'll remember what the next thing I'm about to mention, which is just the last time we see Lewis is funny because she has a really funny line, which is "I'm a mess, Murphy," or "Murphy, I'm a mess." But then he has a cool line, which is they'll fix you, they fix everything, which is ominous, of course.
Yeah.
What they did to him. So we'll watch RoboCop 2 next week. But there's this question, especially because she's not in the movie after that, of what will they do to her? Will fixing her be anything like what we saw happen to him or not?
It's a great line.
It is a great line.
Some great lines. Again, lean movie, very very low body fat on this one. Thank you all for joining us on this Mercury in Retrograde edition of We Enjoy, talking about RoboCop. He's part man, part machine, all cop. And everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shakma.